Right, onwards. Definitely need to do at least a little fast forwarding to avoid this going over half an hour long. We'll see if I feel the need to slow things back down when we get back to unfamiliar territory. Not that the territory we've gone through so far is all that unfamiliar to us. It's a lot of the same layout we saw on the Olympus back at the start of the game. There's just more battle damage and different hostiles to deal with. Part of me wants to feel annoyed that they just edited environments we already ran through a long time ago in this game, especially since this is supposed to be a completely different ship. With the overall mood I have of this game, them doing this kind of shortcut isn't all that endearing to me after all. Still, I suppose they can get away with it. It's not completely absurd that they would have these trainees working on a ship of the same class as the Olympus, even if in my head they should have had the trainees working with a less capable class, possibly something being slowly phased out of the Federation military or something. Maybe I'm just overthinking things again. It certainly wouldn't be the first time I have around here. Anyway, this is most definitely new territory, so let's slow things back down for a bit. Oh, we've most definitely grabbed more upgrades in this game than either of the other Metroid Primes. I may not be a completionist, but hey, if they make it easy to find and grab, who am I to say no? Which, of course, means that this game I'm finding so many easy-to-find items that it's hard to feel all that tense. We are just overly prepared. Guess I've rolled back to the elevator. Let's see what's onwards from here. Cooked his own grenade for too long, eh? An embarrassing but still understandable fate. Thankfully, Samus never handles grenades at all, and in most games that do give me grenades, I use them rarely, if ever, with the notable exception of the Halo games. I wonder why it is that I find the grenades in Halo to be a lot more satisfying to use than any other game. Anyway, we seem to have entered a depressurized section of the ship. Not that that really means anything to us when we're constantly wearing this suit. Hell, we don't even get the sense that gravity is weaker in here. It kind of dampens the effect of us being in zero-atmosphere environment when we don't need to worry about oxygen or our movement changing in any way. And let's see what else there is to explore before we decide to use any energy cells here. I suppose that corpse floating out there could be considered creepy. And we're back to an environment with atmosphere, for whatever that's worth around here when we're in this armor. It certainly doesn't feel like much of a difference to me. We've got plenty of explosives. Guess we'll deal with the energy ball creature when we're done with the phase-on hopper things. Huh. Could have sworn that creature was weak to the hyper beam in this game. And part of my brain keeps wanting us to pull out the electric gun from the first Metroid Prime to deal with it. I suppose it isn't actually attacking us. There's no point in trying to kill it just yet, so... multiple energy cells needed for that one, eh? That's annoying, and I've got the distinct feeling that this one is absolutely necessary to fill if we want to gain what we need from this ruined ship. Right. Of course we need to pull off the panel so we can put energy cells into this thing. And we absolutely have to scan pedals that need ripping off, even if I already know that's what we need to do. I know it's a minor thing, but I'm still kind of annoyed by that small slowdown. Why did Samus make a pained noise from that when we didn't actually take any damage from that panel hitting us in the face? Part of me kind of wants to laugh about that. The other part wants to groan that we spent those energy cells just to get a ship missile upgrade. The most useless of upgrades around here. I've said it before and I'll say it again, the ship missile upgrades feel like an artifact for when they had a different idea for how the ship would be handled in this game, when the player would actually be able to pilot it. Well, at least there was more than just that useless ship upgrade in this tunnel. It certainly seems like it's the way forward. That little door thing in the middle of the tunnel made me get paranoid for a second or two. Wait, are we back to an area we've run through several times before? Son of a bitch, we've entirely been here before and grabbed everything there was to grab here. I was entirely wrong about that being the path forward, and I wasted those energy cells. Really hoping I won't have to go on a hunt for more of the damn things. Well, it gave me an excuse to do some more fast-forwarding. The more I do that, the less likely I'm gonna have to find an abrupt point to cut off the raw footage here. Now, let's just deal with this group of Metroids casually again, because somehow Metroids in a Metroid game feel like an afterthought. Okay, there weren't Metroids in here last time, but it doesn't look like there's anything else here, which means I came back in here just for the sake of going through the tunnel again, and we're gonna end up back on the first floor. Absolutely nothing else to see here. Coming back down was a waste of time. Entirely my fault for thinking there was more to that room that I somehow didn't notice before. Ah well, at least the fast-forwarding means that it's less likely I'll have to cut the footage off at an abrupt point. Wait, didn't I already say that? I'm repeating myself in my own frickin' script. Sorry about that. Anyway. May as well look on the bright side. There's less footage between now and when the credits roll. Once more up the elevator. Please tell me I won't do something stupid and end up back down there again. Okay, apparently it's a bad idea to insert that energy cell while there are still Metroids around. I suppose that's understandable. Again, Metroids feel less like a major encounter in this game compared to the other games in the series, but I'm hoping that won't be an issue in the next Metroid Prime. Mostly because I hope that game takes place after the events of Super Metroid, whereas the Prime trilogy we're finishing off is between Zero Mission and the second game. Well, that sounds like a rough way to go. Shame that I can't find it in me to care about the Federation in this game, considering how they've been executed in all the scenes that we've seen so far. Okay, we have officially unlocked the special ending. Really wish I could feel that's more of an accomplishment, considering I didn't manage to get the special ending in any of the other Metroids. Again, just don't have that much respect for the level design in this game, though there are some moments where I feel shades of the complexity and exploration we went through in the other games. Okay, so we've got Phazon absorbing a man's body altogether. Was it ever a thing in previous games that Phazon would absorb corpses for some reason or another? Part of me wants to feel a bit guilty for disrespecting that corpse when we could have just let it stay there untouched. The other has seen way too many biological space horrors that turn people into zombies or use their biological material to make other kinds of monsters. Sure, we've been killing monsters left and right for the entire franchise, and this game has felt like the easiest for us so far. Possibly because I understood the difficulty setting at the start of the game. Still, if I can spite some space monsters that like to assimilate sentient beings, then I will do so. Again, I feel like they should have done something to link the Phazon creatures in this game with the Ing from the second Metroid Prime, instead of just at best reusing some sprites to save some time. Again, the writing and level design give me the impression there was some rushing going on when they made this game. Why do I get the feeling that the vast majority of the energy cell data is for items we've already grabbed? So, we need to shove energy cells into slots for the sake of getting bridges into place. Kind of wish we had the option to blow something up to get it in place to move on from here. But this game has done quite a lot of railroading, and this isn't even the worst of it. Well, now we can shove the energy cells into their slots. It's a good thing that we had plenty of cells before we even came to this ship. It gives us the freedom to screw up a bit instead of being absolutely screwed and needing to search for more because we make a mistake or two when shoving things into their slots, though I suppose I could have just reloaded the game and tried again with less stumbling. Somehow, I still feel paranoid that I might have to go on that kind of frustrating key hunt, if only because it was a thing in the previous two games, something that absolutely killed the pacing of them. Funny how I preferred the storytelling in the previous two games, but not the pacing. But here, I like the pacing, but the story just feels lackluster. Hopefully, Metroid Prime 4 has Prime 1's level design and combat more refined, and Prime 3's pacing. Son of a bitch, we have another one of those things showing up. Excuse me for fast-forwarding past this thing. We've fought a few of them already, and it's not too much of an event in my mind at this point. And I still have no clue why they call it a hatter, and it's probably not something I should even bother wondering about anymore. didn't we rip anything out that time? It felt like I did everything right from where I'm sitting. There we go. Just 2 more left and we're done with this guy. And it's not like the game is doing anything with this boss that they didn't do with the previous iteration of this guy earlier on in the same game. It's just different terrain to fight. Hell, the big brute pirate stopped being treated like a boss after the second one we killed. And I wouldn't be surprised if I'm misremembering. Maybe the big guys just stopped being treated like bosses after the absolute first one. Anyway, now that that creature is gone, time to get back to pushing forward in the ruins of this ship. Wonder how much of the ship there is left to go through before we grab what we strictly need to make the next bit of major progress. Huh, a Metroid dragging a corpse around. Okay, that's a bit of an interesting visual, but that's just... That is just not how Metroid feeding goes in this franchise. We've seen it several times before, even in this very series, and they just don't give a damn about the meat of a creature. They care about the energy inside the creature, and once they're done absorbing that, then they move on and don't give a damn as that body breaks down behind them. I've almost got the feeling that the Metroids in this game were either supposed to be different creatures based off of Phazon, or these are supposed to be Phazon creatures and not actually Metroids. Huh. A lot more corpses in here than usual. I guess things in here were especially vicious for some reason. These guys definitely fought like hell in here before they got overwhelmed. Holy shit! That's the first time I can remember in any of the 3D games that we can actually see the deadly wound on a scanned corpse. Okay then, and I'm also sure that PDA's number sequence is going to be important for us in here. And here's the place we're supposed to enter the code. Let's see how good my short-term memory is. Apparently good enough for us to make some more progress.
This will be the last communication of the GFS Valhalla.
And I'm sure this communication is going to be critical to us somehow.
They have successfully removed the primary mounting structure around our stasis tank. It is obvious now that they intend to extract us from the Valhalla.
It's also obvious that they shouldn't have sent an unescorted ship full of trainees if it had the hyper-advanced biological supercomputer inside. I swear, I'm just too much of a war brain for that sort of thing to feel like anything other than an obvious issue to a painful degree with how they ran things, but it's probably going to be a major revelation to the Federation, assuming, of course, that the Federation learns anything from this disaster and doesn't just ignore it, since everything is going to turn out alright anyway, due to the efforts of Samus, someone they hired to beat the pirates again. Anyway, here's a lore entry about Aether, and I'm very much annoyed that the planets in this game have made me miss that place so much. Metroid Prime 2 was kind of a mess in its own right, but it was a different variety of mess, and I think I preferred that different variety. I thought it was an underwhelming planet in comparison to the first game, with worse environments and a conflict I just didn't really feel invested in, especially since I knew it wouldn't travel over to the next game. How was I supposed to know that the planets in the third game would be even less inspired, or that there would be multiple planets when this franchise typically just drops you into a single planet with multiple regions on it that you slowly explore, or at least a space station? And great, now I wish I got to see the Federation working alongside the Luminoth to clear out what was left of the pirates on that planet. both the Luminoth and the Federation have come across as so utterly helpless in the Metroid Prime series, and frankly, I wish we got more of a sense that they are powerful factions in their own right, not just glorified civilians that have no business on the battlefield while Samus does all the work. And we are officially done with the ruins of this ship. Time to head back to our ship and get ready to hit the next major location. A location that's going to be somewhere on the Pirate Homeworld, which then leads us to the Phazon planet.
Leviathan command code. It is likely that this code could allow us to control the Leviathan in orbit above the Pirate Homeworld.
Huh, you don't say.
Find your way onto the Leviathan and use that code.
Just going to fast forward through the rest of our time on this ship. I don't think there's going to be anything else noteworthy while we're here. Now, part of me wants to say I'm going to be able to get away with finishing this game in the next clip and after credits and the post-credit cutscene as a separate clip, but that might just be wishful thinking on my part. I won't know until I actually see the footage as I'm working on it. Regardless, we are getting incredibly close to the end of this game. I may keep saying there are ways they could have made it better, but there's no denying that I'm feeling kind of pumped simply from the fact that we're going to get to fight against Dark Samus for the final time soon. They did an amazing job making that specific character seem like a worthy challenge for us, despite the fact that we knocked her around a number of times in the previous game. I just wish they did more with Gandreda, Gore, and several of the other bosses that we dealt with on our way to her. Even Ridley felt oddly underwhelming in our second match against him. Anyway, that blob of blue certainly could take quite a bit of punishment. Right, not even gonna bother to slaughter those Metroids again. It's time for us to just leave. If the Federation has any sense, they'll just blow up what's left of this ship later, not bothering to send anyone in to salvage what is clearly a monster breeding ground. Not that there's any in-game hint whatsoever for how there are so many various monsters in here. I don't think that there's a seed in here generating the Phazon. If anything, I wouldn't be surprised if it turned out that the Metroids in here were made by Phazon itself, because for some absurd reason, Phazon just had to become a lot more capable in this game, just for the sheer sake of upping the stakes out of nowhere. Huh, completely out of power cells. Oh well, it's not like we have any more reason to be in here anyway. Funny how we got to our objective with the absolute last power cell I had left. I suppose if I didn't, I'd have loaded the game and done less stumbling around in the run that I actually let get far enough for me to comment on, so...